So yeah, this is Antifreeze. This was built by one of our cartographers that came into the studio, Warholic, and he did an amazing. Like, we love this map, and it's kind of a more of an infantry-based big team battle map, which was really fun, and it was less big vehicle focused. And so he built a lot of this with a lot of snow in mind, and so you can see a lot of the rocks or the kind of ice pieces. And then we liked the theme of Antifreeze, and thought about like this kind of forerunner-y structure that was kind of in the middle of it, and that the snow is kind of encroaching into this giant forerunner structure. And so we kind of used that as a theme as we built it out and cleaned it up. But like there were things that he didn't have access to, like these laser shields before. You couldn't do things like, let me go back to the option properties. Like you couldn't change colors, and so we added a bunch of details, and so we did, we used a lot of this map to kind of just finish off assets and stuff like that we needed to do, or tweak and tune it. And so I started building this one at home, and so I started this base over here, and like, again, you see it's like I wanted it to feel ripped apart and the snow encroaching into the room as it builds out, and then as it bleeds into this forerunner structure as it's kind of taking it over in a way. And then there's big kind of, I used to refer to this as like the cathedral, because there's this big kind of open area. And there's we have some amazing fights in here, like ground pounding from off of this platform onto here while people are holding strongholds. But yeah, so you can see like a lot of the consistent, like I was saying, like themes, like so there's all the spawn points, and then even our little strongholds has a little stronghold marker over it, and that just so that you know what everything's gonna do as you kind of fly around the level. Like our flags have a flag baked into them so that you can tell, oh, that's a flag, and I can see how high the flag is gonna be when I'm running around. So there's a lot of language and kind of design going on behind all this. As we were building, we wanted to have these grav lifts in here, but we didn't want them to look like Forerunner UNSC grav lifts. We wanted this area to feel kind of like magical almost in a way, so we made invisible grav lifts, so then you can just walk in and they'll kick you up, and there you go. So it's a lot of little things like that, just little taking toys that we already have, like a grav lift, and like, well, make an invisible version. That makes it a little more interesting. I can bury that into a ramp, and and maybe light it differently so it has a cool feel, and then you hit it and it does something different. Like, it changes your gameplay and it changes your expectations, and it lets them really customize the crap out of what they build, which is super awesome. I think this map's cool though, and like each base has a slightly different theme to it. Like this one's a little more clean, and like even just doing things like this, kit bashing these pieces together to make this cool little lip that you can kind of thrust off of was kind of fun, right? And just experimenting with shapes. We want, yeah, again, really forerunner-y theme with this kind of map, really angular type stuff. And a lot of this is just with our primitive pieces. We actually don't really have any particular forerunner-y kind of assets in here. We started with kind of more UNSC type themed stuff, or and then primitive pieces, but like you can build stuff that looks very forerunner-y, and then like, oh, let's play with the colors to make that pop out differently, or like play with shapes. So you can see, and yeah, so a lot of forerunner weapons to keep that theme. We like themes. It makes, I don't know, it makes things easier to build to a degree. Like once you start thinking about the story behind the map, like I came up with the idea that like this side is like the dark, like there's some sort of dark energy in that room, and then and so we put this little light in here, with an effect on it so you could see it pop out. And then the other side was more good. And so that just in my head, that's basically what I built off. It doesn't actually mean anything. I don't think this is going to go into canon at any point soon, but like it was kind of fun to help build the level out, and like, because it was so like snowy centric, and then once we started thinking, okay, the one side is very snow centric because it's kind of bleeding into the level from the kind of evil or bad, and then over on this side it's clean and pure still, and so it's kind of fun to use that. Now both sides of the map have distinct call-out locations, and you can feel which side of the map you're on when you're playing. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the fun of Forge, is that like really anybody can do this, and like that's one thing that like people, when we launched some of the BT Bay maps, people didn't like some of them, and like, or they have issues with things, and like you can fix that, you can change that, you can use that as a starting point and just change weapon placement if you hate weapon placement. If you want to like rebuild a whole area, go nuts. Like that's what we want you to do. So we're just going to keep giving you everything we can to let you do that. But yeah, this map's got all kinds of cool little areas. There's little caverns underneath that lead, back out into the central gameplay spaces. And then there's that kind of grav lift down there. And then this more snowy cave theme, again, just playing with themes and like using the different pieces to build the areas to feel differently. And then yeah, this is the only vehicle we have on here, but it's really fun because it's basically like having a fast infantry in the level, and then they get ground pounded, especially when these things start moving into that central structure, which is kind of what happens because there's some really cool vehicle lanes through here. The fighting would get chaos and like it would focus really a lot around this central area, and the ghosts would come in and just get rampaged by the people jumping and ground pounding off of those things. So it's cool though. But yeah, I mean, it just shows like kind of what this is kind of what a final map would look like if you built a big team battle map. And this map pretty much pushes to the edges of our object limits. Like I know Adrian, who took it over after I left it, because I was like, there was a point I was like, I have to go finish Forge. I can't really focus on the big team battle maps. And so my friend Adrian started working on it, and he started obsessing on details too, and like pushing it to the object count limit. And then we'd have to like delete some carefully so we could get the named locations in, so that because the named locations are like when you're running around the level. Let me find one here. So this is like when I'm in this area, it says I'm in red yard, and so all those things those currently take up objects, and so we have to be very careful about how you kind of balance these things out when you're building things. And like some of these pieces, like we built a lot of like, especially the primitives and stuff, we built those or outsourced a lot of that stuff, and then towards the end, I was going through campaign and Warzone and being like, what do I want to steal? Like, and then I have to, kind of horse trade with our lead artist to be like, okay, I would like these 100 pieces. And he's like, oh my God, you're going to create so many more bugs and more content. We already have, 1,600 objects. Do you really need more? And my philosophy is yes, we always need more. But I mean, like these pieces were some struts that we stole from, I think, Warzone. And then repurposed them, and then they weren't as kind of closed up and clean as they are. We had to close them up so that they could work from every angle in Forge. Like, if I grab that piece, so you can see that piece. Again, that's that kit bashing thing. Like that's how we build everything in Forge, and I think it's fun. It's because you can find so many different uses out of everything. Like these are our shield emitters because we wanted our shields to look like they belonged in the environment. So we made things that snapped onto those. And like, oh, we can use those as lights and like make Forerunner-y kind of feeling structures with them. And so it's that kit bashy multi-purpose thing that I think I love so much about building in Forge. And it leaves that, I don't know, it's really up to your imagination at that point, which is cool.